Why do we constantly get ripped off while buying discounted products? Today, we are exposing a $1 million psychological trap that very well-known companies use to empty your bank account without you even noticing, and even making you feel like you are making a profit. It is called the anchor effect. And at the end of this video, I will show you a single, simple mental tactic that will save you hundreds of dollars on your next Amazon, Walmart, or Target shopping trip. The absolute biggest nightmare of retail chains. But more importantly, before we move on to the big confrontation we will talk about, I need to show you this. Take a look at this wonderful custom production premium pen in my hand. This is not an ordinary pen, it is a design marvel. Its regular selling price on our website is exactly $1,000. But exclusively for this video, and because you are listening to me in front of the screen right now, I am making a crazy 94% discount for the next 10 minutes. You can own this pen for only $150. Pretty good discount, isn't it? Right now, you are probably saying to yourself, man, what are you talking about? This is just a plastic pen. There is no way it is worth $1,000. And yes, you are right. This is a completely plain pen. But guess what? Your brain saw the $1,000 figure once. And suddenly, $150 started to sound not that crazy, because the price difference between them is massive, right? If you even thought, could it be, for just a single second, congratulations. You were just legally ripped off by your own brain. Say hello to the anchor effect. Don't go anywhere. In fact, if you have time, make yourself a coffee and let's drink it together, because in a moment I will explain how Amazon sells you things you don't actually need at all, while giving you the feeling that you are winning. Are you ready? Shall we begin? We are entering the dark room of our brain. Look, my friend, I want to be honest. That naughty little thing inside our head is actually incredibly lazy. Evolutionarily speaking, thinking deeply and doing math exhausts us way too much. And your brain's primary job is not to make you smart, but to keep you alive by conserving the energy it spends. Therefore, when deciding how valuable something is, your brain doesn't sit down and do a cost calculation from scratch. It can't. Instead, it looks at the first crumb of information that appears in front of it, throws a massive anchor, and ties the whole ship of logic right there. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, the two legendary Nobel laureate names who proved how far humans actually are from being rational, proved this with a mind-blowing experiment. They brought a wheel of fortune into the laboratory. There were numbers from 1 to 100 on the wheel. However, the wheel was rigged. It was set up to stop only at the numbers 10 or 65. They spun the wheel right in front of the subject's eyes. Immediately after the wheel stopped, they asked people this question: what percentage of African countries do you think are members of the United Nations? Now let's think. Could a number that came up completely by chance on the Wheel of Fortune have any remote connection to the geopolitical reality of the African continent or the number of United Nations members? Of course not. But the human brain doesn't work that way. The subjects who saw the number 10 on the wheel estimated the membership rate of African countries to be 25% on average. Those who saw the number 65 on the wheel, however, estimated the rate to be 45%. Their brains saw a completely irrelevant number, dropped an anchor there, and bent the entire reality of the world around that number. Now imagine what this tremendous power of manipulation could do in the hands of professional retail hunters and marketing masters in America. Let's look at the absolute king of this game, a genius marketer, Steve Jobs. While you've made it this far, it would be so nice if you also subscribe to the channel and like the video. The year is 2010. Steve Jobs is on stage to announce the first iPad, which will completely change the technology world. People are about to go crazy with excitement. Everyone in the hall is holding their breath. Rumors are circulating in the tech media that this device will be sold at an incredible price, that it will practically be worth a fortune. Jobs stands in front of the giant screen, puts his hands together, looks at the hall, and says, "So, what kind of price should we put on this wonderful device? If you listen to the experts on this, the pundits, we should price it at $999. Whoop! The first anchor has been dropped right into the middle of our brain. Everyone in the hall is thinking to themselves, damn, $1,000? We won't be able to pay the rent this month. Do you know what Jobs does? For the next few minutes, he doesn't remove that giant $999 text from the screen. He continues his speech, explains the features of the iPad, but that figure stays right there. Why? because he wants that number to settle deeply into your brain, to take root there. Your brain inevitably accepts this situation. Okay, if I want to own this technology, the anchor price I have to sacrifice is $999. After Jobs makes sure everyone feels this pain, he puts on that famous billionaire smile and says, I am extremely happy to say that iPad prices do not start from $999. They start from just $499. At that moment, the hall completely collapsed. People stood up and applauded, wanting to throw their wallets onto the stage. Everyone felt as if they had made a profit of exactly $500. But wait a second. Let's think realistically for just a bit. Did Apple distribute $500 in cash to the people in the hall? No. Apple took $499 straight out of people's pockets for a device whose production and component costs amounted to less than $150 for them. But because of that cleverly placed first anchor of $999, $499 made people feel like it was free, as if they had won a lottery. This, my friends, is how you sell millions of devices in a single launch using pure consumer psychology. But wait, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now I will tell you a tremendous plot twist story that is written in golden letters in marketing history and taught in textbooks. Years ago, the famous American kitchenware chain Williams-Sonoma released a home-type bread-making machine for the very first time. Its price was $275. Do you know what the result was? A complete fiasco. Nobody bought the product because back then, people were not aware that a device called a home bread maker even existed. They had no reference point in their minds, meaning no device from another brand. They said, is $275 too much or too little for a bread maker? Doesn't the oven at home do the same thing? And for years, nobody even looked at the product, leaving it to rot on the shelves. The company didn't know what to do. They considered selling the product at a loss or withdrawing it completely from the market because they were losing money. But then they worked with a genius marketer. The consultant didn't tell them to lower the price. On the contrary, he suggested something much crazier. They told the company, put a slightly larger version of this $275 machine right next to it with a few unnecessary extra features added, and make its price exactly $429. The company did exactly that. Now there were two machines on the shelves. One was $275, and the massive model right next to it was $429. So what happened next? The brand's sales skyrocketed. But the funny thing is, nobody bought that newly released expensive $429 machine. Everyone started buying the old $275 machine like crazy. Because now, consumers had another product in their brains to compare it to. Everyone looked at the shelf and said, wow, instead of giving $429 for that big, unnecessary machine, I can buy the machine right next to it that does almost the same job for only $275. This is literally a great bargain. The company put that expensive $429 machine, which they never aimed to sell, there solely to throw an anchor into your brain and make $275 look cheap. That unsold expensive product was actually a secret helper that made the product next to it sell. This is exactly the game the most expensive products play on you while you are browsing through stores. Now, if you are saying, I don't fall for these tricks during my daily shopping at Walmart or Target, you are fooling yourself. In your daily life, you actually fall for this trap almost every single day, at least 5 times a day. Let's dive into the world of strike-through prices, which is the indispensable element of online shopping. You are lying in bed at night, just casually browsing on Amazon. You come across a wireless headphone. The ad reads exactly like this in capital letters. Was $150 now only $49.99. 66% big discount. At that moment, your brain completely stops thinking and enters a primitive mode of excitement. Exactly $100 stays in my pocket. I must not miss this discount. But there is a truth that you don't know, or that your brain refuses to see out of laziness. That headphone was never $150. That headphone was produced for $4 in a factory in China, came to America by ship for $2, and its normal actual worth was already always $49.99. The crossed out $150 was just a psychological trap placed there to ensure you wouldn't feel regret while giving $50 for that piece of plastic. You didn't actually save $100. You handed over $50 from your pocket to the company when it wasn't even in your plans. And what about Starbucks, which you stop by every morning? Have you ever thought about why? Starbucks prices have strange fractions and why the sizes are arranged that way. You walk in, you just want some coffee. You look at the menu. Small size, tall, is $4.45. Medium size, grande, is $5.25. Large size, Venti, is $5.75. Your lazy brain immediately resorts to a split-second rough calculation. Wait a minute. Grande size is only 80 cents more expensive than tall size, but the largest size, Venti, is only 50 cents more expensive than grande size. So if I give 50 cents more, I get a massive coffee. Buying Venti is literally making a profit. Congratulations, welcome to the trap. Starbucks adjusted the sizes that way just so that the price contrast would convince your brain that the largest size is the most logical option. In reality, you didn't even want a massive size filled with that much milk and sugar, but you gave the money because of the anchor prices. Starbucks increased its order value per customer by 30% worldwide because you thought you were winning while spending. But the actual world-famous Super Bowl organization of the anchor effect takes place once a year. Black Friday. That crazy day when Americans camp outside Best Buy or Walmart doors in the freezing cold early in the morning, and the moment the doors open, they run inside madly and argue with complete strangers over a 70-inch television. Let me explain how this corporate setup turns in the background. Big retail chains are not stupid. None of them are running a charity, and they don't lose billions of dollars on Black Friday. Research shows that months before the big discount in November, companies quietly, gradually raise the original prices of products. You know that popular designer shoe that normally sells for $100 every day? In September, they silently update its tag to $180 in the system. Nobody notices. Then when Black Friday arrives, they hang a giant, bright, blood-red sign in the window. The biggest Black Friday discount of the year, dropped from $180 to only $99. You buy that shoe for literally $100, which is its normal price on any other day of the year. But when you go home, you proudly tell your family and friends, "Look how I grabbed the discount, I got it practically for free. I made a profit of exactly $80. You didn't save anything, my friend. You just became a pawn in a finely calculated corporate psychological operation. They created a fake high anchor, and you celebrated being manipulated with your wallet. In fact, some TV manufacturers produce special models with lower quality materials specifically for Black Friday and show them as if they are the normal model discounted from the old price. In other words, they steal both your money and your quality. All right, that is enough bad news and stories of corporate face slaps. Now you know the bitter truths. I've given you so many examples you must have understood by now. You are aware that the world is a massive psychological trap set up to wipe out your savings that you earned with hard labor. So how are you going to beat these billionaire companies at their own game? How will you protect your hard-earned money against professional hunters? I have a simple 3-step formula, which is practically a mental bulletproof vest that will make you completely immune to the anchor effect and all discount lies. Step 1. The finger tactic. Next time you are browsing on Amazon or walking down Target aisles and come across a discount, extend your finger to the screen or the tag and cover the part that says original price or 70% discount with your finger. Do not let your brain see the crossed out old prices. Ignore them. Look solely and exclusively at the net figure you need to pay. If it says $150 there, ask yourself this honest question. If I walked into this store right now and there was no writing, no discount indication on this product, would I take $150 cash out of my pocket and give it to this product? If the answer to your question is no, with even the slightest hesitation, slowly put the product back in its place. Step 2. Solve the contrast between value and cost. Remember, price is what you pay. Value is what you buy. A $500 jacket dropping to $100 does not mean you gained $400. It means net $100 cash came out of your pocket. Stop immediately calculating how much the companies are saving you, and instead calculate how many hours you had to sweat in your real job in that stressful office just to be able to buy that product. Is it really worth sacrificing 5 hours of your labor to get a piece of plastic? And step 3, the 48-hour cooling rule. The anchor effect and the marketing world are built entirely on artificial urgency. Only for a limited time. Stocks are running out. Only 1 hour left before the discount ends. These sentences have a single purpose: to deactivate your logical thinking brain and activate your primitive brain. Warasi woaf. Whenever you see a discount and feel the urge to buy that product very intensely inside you, Set a rule for yourself. Throw that product into the cart, but wait exactly 48 hours before pressing the buy button. I promise you, in 90% of cases, the magic of the anchor effect will be completely broken 2 days later. The artificial dopamine storm in your brain will subside, and you will realize that you don't need that product at all and delete the cart. The retail world, capitalism, and giant companies spend billions of dollars every year studying human psychology and brain errors just to take the money out of your pocket. But now, you have the cheat code. You are no longer a defenseless victim in their brightly colored discount traps. If this video saved even a single dollar for you or your wallet today, press the subscribe button below and like the video to support me. Normally, a financial psychology education of this level would cost you $5,000 outside. But just because you are my loyal viewers, today it is completely free for you. You see, I can't stop dropping anchors either. Old habits die hard. Stay smart, watch your anchors very carefully, and remember that you win when you keep the money in your pocket, not when you spend it. See you in the next video.